Okay, then. Again, we give God the glory, and just another blessed day. And I also just want to say prayers there to people all down in Houston area and throughout the coastline down there in Texas and Louisiana, and hopefully that everything is going to be okay. And those that have lost their houses, their homes, their businesses, may God continue to give the favor and to find ways for us to reach out to them in a way where they can give them hope. But more importantly, also give them the baseline of a future according to God's plan. So our prayers do go out to all those people. The difficult time there with Hurricane Harvey. Well, the Baylor game, I think it's an exciting time for us because we're getting ready to play somebody different. As far as we've been beating up on each other for the last 4 weeks, and I know it's an exciting time for us coaches to find out what is our team about. You really don't know until you actually play some games. And so we're excited about this opportunity, playing a really, really good football team there, representing the Big 12 Conference, and I know that they're going to have a good football team. I think the positive that I have about this team at this point in time is that I love the chemistry. I anticipate a great team chemistry here in 2017. Now, we won't really find out the deep part of our chemistry until we have some, adversity, if you want to call that. But also you find out when you have prosperity. When things happen good, does our team respect that in a great way and show things in a positive way according to God's plan? I expect us to have a faster team as far as what we've had in the past on all sides of the ball, offense, defense, and special teams. I know we have had guys who have played pretty good speed, but I think overall on our whole football team, we have increased the speed, and that's what I've asked our coaches to do while we've been in recruiting, is to make sure that we get guys. I'd rather go with guys a little faster, and if they're a little bit smaller versus having some bigger guys and not able to move as well and having athleticism. I also foresee us to be playing hard on every single play, from the first snap to the last snap. That's what our fans should expect to see out of our football team, no matter what is going on with the scoreboard. Also, we're out here to serve the Lord, and the Lord has always said you go out and do your best you can on every moment of the day and every second of the day, and that's what I expect out of our football team, and that's what our fans should be able to see, no matter what is going on at that point in time. A little bit more specific about Baylor, Matt Rule. I do know him a little bit. I don't know him necessarily in a personal way. Again, we've chatted here and there and all that. Has the Penn State ties. He played at Penn State, Nebraska. We played against Penn State, him against as a player, coaching there in the early 90s when I was at Nebraska. Then I was at the University of Buffalo. I think he was a D-line coach. Then he was also the offensive coordinator while I was at the University of Buffalo as a head coach. So I have been a part of his football team and played against him, I guess, those 3 or 4 years while I was at Buffalo. So I know one thing about him is his team, they do play well. They play hard. They do some good things there on every phase of the game, and I expect that no differently of him being there at Baylor University. A little bit about their defensive coordinator, Phil Snow. Faced him as a coach at the University of Nebraska. I kind of remember him at Arizona State. I kind of remember a fantastic young man by the name of Terrell Suggs, who was the defensive end that he had coached and played there and all that at Arizona State. And so I've seen his defenses and what they have done. He's always done a pretty good job just about everywhere he's been. So I know that this defense will be a multiple defense, and they'll be very sound in what they're trying to get accomplished. On the offensive side of the ball, they got co-offensive coordinators. I don't know all the details of who's going to make the play calls. Maybe Jeff Nixon, and he's a Penn State guy involved in that. Don't know him as well, but I know they're going to be multiple. They're going to be a physical team. They want to be downhill and running the football. They'll do their play action. They'll do the things that they have to do, but they're a multiple style offense as far as that goes. Special teams-wise, they're sound in every phase. What I've evaluated is, again, difficult when you have a new staff coming in. You don't know exactly what they're going to do. Everybody makes some adjustment because they may have to make adjustments depending on their personnel that they have there at Baylor. But I know that they have been sound in everything they've done in their special teams. Just talk about the injuries. Really, kind of maybe a little bit of repeat to some extent. Ernst Anderson, as I had mentioned, maybe at some point that he is really career is done. Unfortunately, there had multiple surgeries on his knee, and the doctors had informed him that they would recommend him to no longer play football. So he will be a guy who will be coaching, helping us coach a little bit as an undergraduate assistant coach or whatever you want to call it from that standpoint. But he is a guy that really is very, very valuable. He has a great sense of the players, has a great sense of what it's all about. He's really has done a great job of being able to teach and develop things. He should get his degree here in the spring. Again, he's only going to be here for 3 years as he's been here, and so I'm very proud who he is and what he's done and what he's going to do for our program with this unfortunate situation. As Red Urick, quarterback there, is going to be out for the season. He's going to have had surgery, I should say, on his shoulder, which is his throwing arm. So that's going to be a while to get that all healed up, and we'll see how it progresses really toward the end of the season to see if he's able to just come out and practice at some point later in the year. I think the keys to this game here, 2 or 3 things. One, I think, is to score early for ourselves, hopefully in the first quarter where we're actually put some points on the board. Obviously, we love to score touchdowns, but we need to get points on the board. I think that's very important when you play a team that's so talented as Baylor and a team that's really had some tremendous success. Along with that, obviously, no turnovers early, really no turnovers throughout the whole football game, but I think really crucial early on that the more that we can stay in the game and don't have turnovers and get them a short field, that's important. I'm concerned about our depth. I'm more concerned about our depth on the defensive side of the ball just because of them being able to possibly run a lot of plays. We're going to have to substitute early. That's the way I've always have done it early in the year. When you play your first game or two, you need to make sure that your guys are in game condition, in game shape, and so we're going to make sure that our guys are ready to go and being able to play a certain amount of reps that we're trying to get all of our guys at that particular time. So those are really the keys to it all, to the game. I'm excited about it. It's another opportunity to go. Again, it's a great opportunity for Liberty University to play at Baylor University there, again, a top-notch program that has been in the past. A couple other notes to it there. Chris Turner will not play in the first half of the game due to violating team rules. Jalen McKinney, he's going to be out for the first half due to being disqualified in the Coastal Carolina game. He has to sit out the first half of this first ball game. Open up to questions.
Coach, we see J.R. Sanders, Elijah Mitchell, Fidel Obafen are on too deep. Any other freshmen who are playing, and who are you redshirting for this year?
Redshirt in there, I guess it's probably more about the guys who are playing. I think really you got the depth chart. I think that really talks about all the guys that are really not going to be redshirted. I guess there are some guys, you see them on there as redshirt. You got Mason Woke, a guy there and there. We got Elijah Cook, guys that are walk-on guys that because of our depth, they're going to have to play and they're not going to be redshirted. So really I prefer you go ahead and look at that list. If you don't see those guys' names on the list, those are the guys that are really going to be redshirted as we move forward. Unless something happens here in the first game or two, there's always a case or two where there could be 1 or 2 other guys that maybe could play later on.
Coach, are you pretty pleased with your team coming out of preseason? Do you feel like you're where you would like to be as far as being ready to play Baylor?
Well, we're ready to play. Again, we've done a good job with our staff, has done a great job of implementing all the things we need to implement. We got through all of our situations. That's the main thing. You're trying to cover all the things you need to cover with our whole football team, the young and the old, and then trying to clarify some certain things that we have to have a little bit more strength in. We talked about the red zone, green zone area as far as our offense and defensive side of the ball being better in the red zone area, scoring touchdowns. And then also on the defensive side of the ball is preventing touchdowns whenever somebody gets inside the 20. And then I think the other biggest thing is talk about big plays. Obviously, defensively eliminating the big plays, and then offensively we want to create more big plays. So I think if I say early on in the game, besides all the turnovers, I think it'd be a big thing is just to saying eliminating the big plays, and then do we have big plays? Because, again, we hope that our speed matches up with their speed. We know that we are faster, but I know that obviously Baylor's definitely going to be loaded with a lot more speed than we have in a sense of for us the numbers. But we do have some talent there, and we'll see how they match up. But I feel great where we're at, and now it's time to go out and play and see what we need to do after this first ball game.
You just talk a little bit about your linebacking core. I guess kind of a two-part with Solomon McGinty getting in the second half of fall camp, what you saw from him at the Will, and then also with Lucas Irons, and I guess backing up the Will and the Mike.
Yeah, Solomon made a switch there from safety position into the inside linebacker position. He's done a great job there, even though it may be only about 2 weeks that he actually got some reps. I think he is really jailed in that position. I anticipate him to do an outstanding job. He's a physical player. He's also can run very well, and put him in the inside position, I think it's going to help our football team. Lucas Iron been able to play both the Mike and the Will. We kind of trained maybe all of them to be able to do that. Some might be at this point being able to do it better than others. But I really feel good about Lucas Iron, his speed, his ability, and I really feel good about those 3 or 4 guys. They're going to really play quite a bit. So whatever who's starting, who's not starting, there's going to be quite a bit of guys that get some playing time.
So Lucas will start then over Jalen, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, and then Jimmy Fox will start at the other corner spot?
Be Malik Matthews.
Malik Matthews, okay.
Speaking of linebackers, Coach, Kedrick Bradley, give us his story and how you guys found him.
Yep, it's Kedrick Bradley. He originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then he went to a junior college there in California. Again, I guess when we got the news about going to FBS, so we had all of our coaches kind of scowl out all the junior colleges and see some people who would be available. He was a guy that was physical. Could run and do a lot of good things for his size. He's definitely has done a great job of that. We had gone into it trying to decide. We took 2 inside linebackers, and both of them were JCs, and one of them we're going to play, one we're not going to play. And Kedrick has come along further than Solomon Ajayi. And part of the reason also is not to mean that Solomon cannot be a good football player. Part of it was he had broken his thumb, or wrist, and so they had to have a cast on it, so he wasn't able to do a lot more things. But Kedrick is a guy who is very smart. A physical player. Again, we anticipate him to be very impactful on our special teams, and then as time goes along, hopefully he gets more and more reps at the linebacker position.
Coach, another really tough game out of the gate. What's your philosophy again as far as you like playing these really tough teams first game this season to kind of get things going?
Oh, it doesn't matter. The first ball game, you want to play somebody. I think in the sense of playing Baylor or the Power 5 schools, if you want to put it in those contexts, it gets your team ready to go in the summer. They know what the task is in hand as we move forward and playing a team of the caliber of Baylor. So it's an exciting time. Everybody wants to dream about and play against the best teams and the best people in the country. You want to know where you're at and where you stand. So I look at it as a positive. And our players look at it as a positive. They're excited about the opportunity. And so it's an opportunity for Liberty to get their brand out there and see how we match up as we move forward in the FBS era.
Last year you carried 3 running backs. Do you plan on playing 3 this year, and who would be the 3rd until Todd Macon's back?
I think we're going to probably end up playing 2 to 3. No, I think 3 going to play. I can definitely say that. I guess it depends on the group that we put in there. There's different formations, different personnel groupings we have. We're definitely going to play 3. Whether they play the same amount, no, that's not going to happen. I think they're still, depending on what things we do, it's depending on how much the 3rd person is going to play, and that forces the 3rd running back. So we're going to play 3, no question about that. But the 2 of them don't get the majority of it, is Mosley and Hickson.
You alluded to what's happening down in Houston earlier. Is there anything this program's going to do, or anything you want to do as a Texas native that you're going to do to help them out?
No, there's nothing specifically that we're doing, but I think the biggest thing that we all know is prayer. You know, prayer is a powerful thing that we can all do, and that's something that you can definitely help and do things in that manner. So that's what we're doing, is praying every day through our time period with our football team at the end of practice, talking about the people.
You have 7 players on the roster from Texas. Have they been able to reach any family members there, or have any one of them been affected by it?
Well, I think there's some concern. There's, family members are stuck in a house, per se. I haven't heard anything from any of our guys who are in Texas of any danger, but I think anything can happen at any given time. I guess as a matter of fact, even myself, I have 2 sisters that are on a ship at this point in time, and they hopefully to get to New Orleans hopefully here, I think she said this afternoon. So they've been out there in the ocean for the last 2 or 3 days and all those type of things. So we just continue to pray for people, and that's all you can do.
They on a cruise or something? Or?
They were on a cruise ship.
Okay.
Yep, and just.
But they're okay.
They're okay. Supposed to be getting into New Orleans this afternoon.
As far as your return game goes, Malik Matthews over Frankie Hickson, I don't know if there's anything to that, or if they're both going to get opportunities, and then also the punt return game. Just kind of speak to the depth chart there.
What did you say on the kickoff return? You say Malik Matthews?
You've got, I think it's Malik Matthews over Frankie Hickson. Is that right?
Kentori Matthews. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It
Contori
should be
Matthews.
it's
Okay.
Matthews, but it's
Got it.
Contori
Okay.
Matthews and Frankie Hickson, and then Seneca Espinoza. Really, Contori Matthews, Seneca Espinoza. That's probably still up in the air. We got Contori down there, but it could change. I guess I should say by game day, it could be Contori Matthews or it could be Seneca Espinoza as far as in that position. It could be also Stubbs. Those three guys are fighting for that other position as far as the kickoff return. The punt returner, Damon King is definitely going to be our starter going into this first ball game. Stubbs will probably definitely get a rep or two as a punt returner. We hope they're punting a lot so we can get a whole lot of returns as far as that goes. But that's kind of the plan as we move forward.
So Hickson's going to remain as a primary kick returner, even though he's going to have more of a workload at running back. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He'll be our number one guy at the kickoff return part of it. He's really kind of the return guy, if you want to say we try to do it. But we got both guys back there, like I said, being able to catch the kicks.
Which of your offensive lineman coaches improved the most since a year ago? And speak to the health of Mike Hinderman and how he's doing.
Well, the easiest for that is Tom Sargent. There's no question that he's a walk-on guy. He's a redshirt freshman. He's a tremendous, intelligent young man. Has transpired all that also to the football field. He's probably put on maybe 30 pounds since he first stepped on this campus. He's the hardest working guy on the field, off the field. I love where he's at. But again, he's put a good throwing out there, and I believe he'll respond in a great way. So it's going to be exciting to see him go. I really am happy to see his great progress. There's no question he is the guy on the football team, overall football team, that's had the biggest improvement from when he first stepped on this campus to where he's at today.
Alex Probert, you mentioned one of the scrimmages, he struggled a little bit, and then in the Flames Fan Fest this past weekend, he had a little bit of a rough going. Mm-hmm. Where would you say he's at mentally, and then also what would be his range? Where would you feel comfortable in sending him out?
Oh, he's good. I think everything got ironed out there in practice, and also the last time in the Fan Fest opportunity there. Once we got inside the game type situation, when he made all those kicks in that situation there. So I think his confidence is solid. Confidence is good. As far as his range, where we go, probably anything under 55 yards. Depends on the circumstance of the game where we would go to that extent. But I can say anywhere 50 and in, I have no problem with it as far as giving him a shot at it.
When you look at Baylor, they got a young quarterback who made some starts last year. I assume it's going to be Zach Smith. I don't know, they got the JUCO kid too. But when you kind of examine their personnel, some young guys, some injuries in their secondary, are those advantages for you guys?
Well, I think I think there's some places where we think we can match up. But again, we'll find out once that blow the whistle and the ball snap. Again, that quarterback situation, who knows? I know they got the transfer from Arizona. So I know they have a lot of talented young people there that they can play there. But there are certain places we think we can attack. We're going to try to attempt that, but it all comes down to execution. We can put a lot of things on paper and see where we think we can attack, but it's all about the execution. And again, we're going to give it a great shot, and we'll see how God has in play for us.
With them having a first-year head coach, where's your concentration going as far as preparation? Are you looking more at Temple film or Baylor, or a combination there of the two?
Well, I think from a scheme-wise, you look at Temple as far as what they did, because that tells us their scheme, the things that they maybe really, really believed in, some of the strong tendencies that they had there. We're going to take note of those things to a certain extent. Then also you also look at Baylor. You got to look at Baylor just because of the personnel. Look at those combination of both of those things, and so you do the best you can. But I think it's more about what we're able to do, what we believe we're able to do, and what our guys can execute. We just got to figure out where they're going to line up most of the time. Nothing's ever going to be 100% perfect, but you just try to get the majority of the time. Again, it's a new season. The first ball game is always you never know, and it's like any head coach. You do make adjustments, and sometimes you may want to make a complete change than what you maybe have done offensively or defensively, and they could do that. So we'll find that out definitely in the first two series.
Coach, have you seen any noticeable changes in Buckshot from year one to year two?
Confidence. I see him understanding our whole offense. He can explain things to offensive linemen, what to do, when to do it, and the biggest thing is the why. why we're doing what we're doing. There's still a few little things, but man, he definitely has made a drastic change from last year to this year, and that's what you wanted to see. And so he's definitely an accurate passer, strong arm. Love that he's put on 25 pounds plus, and he can continue to get better. But I think the biggest thing is his mental approach and his football IQ has been improved each and every day.